Welcome back everyone, my name is Steven Rodriguez, I am your true champion, and this past weekend I ended up taking part in a Digimon 2020 TCG tournament, my first ever Digimon TCG 2020 tournament, and I ended up getting second place playing purple. Not only will I be showing you guys the deck list that I used to get second place in that tournament, but because my boy Rays_HMG streamed the entire thing on Twitch, I have some games to actually show you guys of myself using this deck. So we're going to see some gameplay along with the actual deck list today. I'll also talk about my overall rounds, the matchup spread of the deck, and what I think of it overall in the meta. So if you guys are excited for me to be continuing my Digimon TCG 2020 content here on the channel, please be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell for notifications so that you guys know when my videos go live for you. Every single week I'll be putting out new Digimon TCG 2020 videos, so if you guys have anything in particular that you want to see or you want to learn about, be sure to leave your suggestions down in the comments below. But guys, with all that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at the deck. So as you guys can tell from my intro as well as the cards in front of you and the lights behind me, I played a purple deck this past weekend. To me, purple is one of the strongest decks in the format right now for Digimon 2020 TCG because it's one of those decks that just has so many options to it, and based on its main resource, the discard pile / trash, you can sort of gain advantage over your opponent, create pressure, and have overall consistency throughout your games. This kind of strategy really appeals to me. I'm a big tempo-based player when it comes to playing card games, and I felt like this was the most aggressive / control-y deck in the format right now that gave me the most options I needed matchup to matchup. The deck that I in particular built was centered around piedmon and sort of using really powerful on-play purple Digimon, not only to create pressure in the early game, but also to have really wide boards in the late game that I could use to protect myself or just go in for really big kill turns. So now that you know the overall strategy of the deck, let's go ahead and take a look at the Digi-Eggs. Alright y'all, here we are at my 5 Digitama / Digi-Eggs, and their effects are Yaman, your turn. If you have 5 or more cards in your trash, this Digimon gets power plus 1000 DP. This is just a nice effect to have because sometimes our Digimon aren't the strongest in the world, and any little bit that we can get to add to their DP helps a lot. And then our main, really big Digitama / Digi-Egg is Pagumon. Inheritable when attacking, discard the top card of your deck. Again, this just fuels our main strategy of getting certain cards in our discard pile that we can either recur with piedmon, or so we can just build our stack and activate more effects like Yaman / just dig through our deck for our main key pieces. Moving on, we have the first of our 14 level 3s. We have the all-important Itmon, and of course my favorite actually, Tapermon. They're both 3 costs. One is 1000 DP, the other one is 2000 DP, and they have both when destroyed effects. Discard the top 3 cards of your deck, and when destroyed, draw 1 card. The main reason why I love these cards so much is that they kind of feed to our early game rush strategy, where we can just play these cards really early and then swing with them, and if they get destroyed by security checks or they get blocked, we don't really care as much. We do care if they get blocked, but we don't care if they get killed by security checks because we either get value from that by getting the draw, or we did get to fuel our drop zone for future piedmon plays. So I'm a huge fan of these 2 cards. They kind of give you like a rookie rush button if you really need one. Rounding off our level 3s, we have our 4 copies of Gabumon and our 2 copies of Demi-Devimon. Demi-Devimon is just the vanilla level 3, 3000 DP, 2 cost. Really nice. I love seeing him in my opening hand because I can evolve onto an egg in my raising area, either with a Gabumon or an Itmon, and then just play this from my hand and kind of limit my opponent's memory on their first turn, and then go in on the next turn with 2 attacks, one from the raising area and one from Devimon himself. And then we have Gabumon. He has the inheritable skill, when destroyed, draw 2 cards, discard 1 card from your hand. I really like Gabumon because he adds to the main strategy of filtering, and we do play a lot of tech cards in this deck, and having the ability to filter your hand for things that you don't want, like extra mats or certain option cards that won't really be value for you depending on what game state you're in, or again just filling your drop zone / trash with more Digimon that you can recur later with piedmon. Gabumon and his inheritable skill adds a lot to our strategy, plus he combos really well with cards like Devimon and Wizardmon. Moving on, we have the start to our level 4s, and these 2 cards, Devimon and Vilemon, are probably the 2 most important level 4s that we have. For those that don't know, Devimon's effects are really simple. He has Vengeance as both a main skill and as an inheritable skill. Vengeance is a really cool keyword. Basically means that if this Digimon is destroyed by battle by an opponent's Digimon, you destroy the opponent's Digimon as well. It's essentially Death Touch. Moving on, we have Vilemon, our main blocker in the deck. Him in conjunction with Devimon are the 2 big cards that we recycle using piedmon because, like I said, they basically serve as our best attackers and as our best defenders. Rounding off our level 4s, we have our 4 4-cost Wizardmon. He has 2 skills, both players' turn. If you have a yellow Digimon, this card gains Vengeance, and then his second skill is when destroyed, draw +1. He is a Tamers clone. And there's 2 really cool things I love doing with him. Number 1 is having Gabumon in his stack, so that way I can draw 3 cards and then discard 1. It's basically like, you know, graceful charity on drugs, super cool. And then his other thing is that I do play yellow cards in this deck, so I can essentially have a Vengeance attacker that can draw me a card. So if I swing on a Digimon that's bigger than me, I can kill it, get rid of it off the board, and then draw a card. Super value, really love Wizardmon. Moving on, we have our only purple level 5 in Chimeramon. His effect is when placed by destroying one of your other Digimon, destroy one of your opponent's level 5 or less Digimon. I really love this card. He's an amazing source of removal that allows you to kind of push your opponent in certain turns in the late game, stop them from making plays on evolving certain Digimon into becoming bigger Digimon later on, or he's just a big enough body to where I can swing at security and he's most likely not gonna die. Super good. I love Chimeramon. Moving on, we have the main boss card of the deck. We have 4 Piedmon. This is the best card I think I've ever seen in the Digimon TCG, and he has 2 effects. The main one is Vengeance. He himself has Vengeance, which is awesome. And then his second effect is when played, you may play up to 2 level 4 or less purple Digimon from your trash without paying their cost. Digimon played by this effect cannot activate their when played effects. So really simple. Like I said, the best things that we can recycle are Vilemon and Devimon. This card is just super cool. I find myself, if my drop zone is set up already, playing this card on turn 2. If this card comes out in the late game and gives me 2 more Vilemon, it doesn't matter how many attacks my opponent has most of the time, because I'm either killing them with Trump Sword or attacking them with Vengeance attackers, and so they can't finish me off. Or he's a really cool way to go wide in the late game and force my opponent to go, if you don't have 4 blockers, you're gonna die. So I really love this card. He really gives the deck a lot of options, both aggressively and defensively, and he's just super strong. To round off our purple Digimon, we have our one of Millenniumon. This is the purple and black Omnimon, and he has 2 effects. When Digivolve, return one of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of their deck. That Digimon discards all of its Digivolution sources. And then he has a second effect, when destroyed, if this Digimon has any Digivolution sources, you may play it from your trash without paying its cost. So this card is super cool. He kind of acts again as another source of removal in the deck, which is super nice. The more options for removal you have in Digimon TCG, the better. But a big thing, and the reason why we're not really playing more copies of him, is because A, he does give up a lot of memory even though he is an evolve card, and B, we don't really evolve with this deck. Our big shtick is playing really powerful cards. Like as of right now, the only cards we evolve up to are level 4s. I rarely evolve into Chimeramon. Like I would only do that if I'm desperate to like memory starve my opponent, right? That's the only reason I would ever do this. And then I always play Piedmon, and given the chance, I will always attack with Piedmon into bigger Digimon, or like if I don't have any other Vengeance attackers, I will. And so I don't always have my purple level 6 in play to evolve Millenniumon on top of, but if it ever comes up that he's in my hand and Piedmon's in play and he's safe, I will of course evolve into him and get the value that that gives me in a really big body that can now stay on the board for 2 turns at least. Really cool card. Moving on to the start of our purple option cards, we have Trump Sword, one of the best removal cards in the game. 7 cost, main effect, destroy one of your opponent's active Digimon. Security effect, activate this card's main effect. Really cool card. Checking this as a security can literally save you games. It's honestly amazing. It is purple Terra Force. Don't let anyone tell you different. Rounding off our purple option cards, we have 3 Grizzly Wing and 1 Heat Viper. Grizzly Wing's effect is main, play a level 3 purple Digimon from your trash without paying its cost. Digimon play with this effect do not activate their when played effects. And then his security effect is activate this card's main effect. Grizzly Wing is really strong in terms of aggressive momentum. He lets you either get free cards in play during your opponent's turn that you can then use to attack them on the following turn, or it allows you to play your 3 cost level 3s for cheaper, which is super cool, and you can combo really nicely with cards like Chimeramon. One of my favorite plays to do is play 2 costs with Grizzly Wing to get a Tamers, and then play Chimeramon, sacrifice the Tamers, draw a card, and then get rid of one of my opponent's Digimon. Really, really powerful effect. I love Grizzly Wing. And then we have Heat Viper, main effect, by destroying one of your Digimon, destroy up to 2 of your opponent's level 4 or less Digimon. Security effect, add this card to your hand. The reason I put this card in my deck, this card was in the deck as sort of a last minute option. It's not really what I would call a consistency card. It was to counter other purple decks, because a big thing that I thought of was, well, if my opponent plays their Piedmon Piedmon and gets like 2 copies of Vilemon on their board, I can play Heat Viper the following turn, still have memory on my turn most likely, depending on when they play that Piedmon, and then I'll be able to attack them because I got rid of their blockers. So that was the idea of Heat Viper. It never came up in the tournament. This card was useless. It should have been a 4th Grizzly Wing. Moving on, we have the last of our purple cards. We have our 4 copies of Matt Ashita. This is our Tamer card for the deck. His effect is start of your turn. If your memory is 2 or less, it becomes 3. And then his Windplate effect is return 1 purple option or Digimon card from your trash to your hand. Security, play this card without paying its cost. So the cool thing about Matt is that he provides you a lot of recursion utility, and in a deck that mills itself, this is really important. Because say I mill my only one copy of Heat Viper, well now I can add it to my hand. Say I lose like 3 Piedmons, I can now add one of them back to my hand and still use his effect. Say I don't have any level 3s in my hand to evolve one of the cards in my raising area, well I can use Matt and then grab that level 3 and then we're good to go. So Matt essentially just adds to your utility and your consistency because you are a mill-based strategy deck. I will say that in the late game, this is the one card in the deck that I don't want to see. If I make any changes to the deck in the future, I will definitely be cutting down on this card moving forward. And finally, to round off my deck list that I use for the tournament, I have these 4 tech cards here. I have 2 Manadramon, 1 Skullgreymon, and 1 Volcanicdramon. So a really cool thing about this deck, and the reason why I kind of built it this way, is that it's not really built around having pure monocolor synergy. It's built around having really powerful on-play effects, and that's it. I'm never going to be evolving up into a big Beelzemon and then going into Millenniumon. I have the option, but it's not my deck's main strategy. So this allows me to play really powerful on-play effects that don't take away from my deck synergy. In fact, because I'm playing yellow really big cards, I actually have extra combo potential in cards like Wizardmon, so that's super cool. Magnadramon's main effect is when played, if your security is 3 or less, recovery +2, and then her second effect, which is useless to me, is when attacking, you may play 1 level 3 yellow Digimon from your hand without paying its cost. We don't use that effect. So the reason why this card is in here is really one of 2 things. Well, number 1 is that it adds to our overall defensive capabilities in the late game, because sometimes there are some awkward situations where your opponent gives you 1 memory so you can't play Piedmon to get blockers back, or you're playing against yellow and all you need is 1 more turn against them, but if you play any blockers they can kill them. This is a way for you to add to your longevity without relying on blockers, so that's a really big thing for just getting that extra turn. The second thing this card lets you do is catch up in the mirror match. A lot of the time in the mirror match, when you take too much damage in the early game, it can become hard to catch up, because if your opponent can get enough Vilemons in play after attacking you for the first couple turns using their rookies, it's going to be hard for you to get that damage or that security balance back in your favor. This card can do that for you. This, to me, was by far the biggest card that I played in the tournament. Everyone was freaking out about it, and they were like, whoa, he's playing Magnadramon, and he's gaining securities back. So this is by far my favorite tech card. I am definitely going to keep playing it in purple moving forward. Moving on to the 2 red cards here. Now these cards were more for specific matchups than just like a general tech card that adds to like this aspect of the game that I wanted to take care of. Skullgreymon was really for black and purple mirror matches, because I think that to win those matchups you need as much removal as possible, and he is extra removal. And then we have Volcanicdramon, who's really just for purple, but any rookie rush strategy will kind of falter to this card, because he has a really cool effect of when played, destroy all of your opponent's 4000 DP or less Digimon. This is super strong against any mirror matches in the early game or in the late game, just dropping this card. Neither of these cards came up in the tournament. I will definitely be considering cutting 1 or both of them. I think the more useless card is Skullgreymon. I still see value for Volcanicdramon, because like I said, I think purple is one of the best decks in the game right now, and having any kind of hate card for purple in your deck I think is worth the slot, or worth considering anyway. Alright y'all, there you guys go. That is the purple deck that I used to get 2nd place this past weekend in Big Bite number 5, the tournament hosted by my boy Rays_HMG over on Twitch. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below, or better yet, hop into my Twitch channel. I go live every Monday, Thursday, Friday. I do all kinds of things than just chatting, so come ask some questions and hopefully get some live answers. But with all that being said, now that you guys know how the deck works, let's see it in action. Alright guys, here we are over on Twitch. I have have the VOD pulled up from this past weekend's tournament that was again hosted by my boy Rays_HMG. I'll go ahead and leave a link to the unedited version of the entire tournament VOD down below if you guys want to watch the entire thing. I was actually streamed quite a lot during that tournament, so if you want to see more games that I play with this deck or just more games in general, that will be the best place to do so. I, however, will only be showing you guys 2 games that I actually played, one against my boy Sack here, who's playing black, and then the next one will be one of the games I played against my boy Tessero, who actually won the tournament, and he was playing purple as well. Alright y'all, with that being said, let's go ahead and watch me versus Sack. So guys, like I said, Sack is playing black and I am playing purple. I am on the left and Sack is on the right. This is actually game 2 of our match. I won the first one, as you guys can tell. I won by a pretty big landslide actually. I was able to kind of leverage my Magnadramon really well to sort of set up a really good game-winning scenario against Sack. So we ended up scooping, and this is going to be our game 2. His opening hand looks really good. He has the Toyagumon, he has the Metal Greymon. The only thing he's lacking is a champion. He needs to see one most likely off of this draw with Toyagumon, and he's looking really good. And there is no champions in his hand. This is the big thing about black that I'm not the biggest fan of, is that you have to play so many big Digimon that you don't really have as much room as you want for like the little guys, like champions and rookies and stuff, so you can get yourself kind of locked on certain levels from time to time, and you don't have any draw power to really help you with digging through your deck either, so that makes it very hard. So it comes to my turn. I have 6 memory to work with, which is quite a lot, but as you can see, my hand isn't the best in order to utilize this memory, so I'm actually just going to use a Trump Sword and sort of like negate his big 6-drop play. Really quickly, I want to kind of comment on the black versus purple matchup really fast, is that I was kind of worried about it because black is like the most defensive color in the game, and then you have purple, which is one of the most aggressive colors in the game, and so you feel like you have a natural check right there. But a big thing that purple has going for it is the mass amount of removal in purple. You have Vengeance, you have Chimeramon, you have cards like Trump Sword, which all really can hinder black's strategy. So Sack needs to really be careful on which cards he plays in the battle area and which cards he commits to the raising area, because if he doesn't build a mega in the raising area, at any point, because of reboot, I'm able to kill any cards he attacks with Trump Sword. So I have a really good counter to his deck in Trump Sword, and in this game you guys will see me using Trump Sword as a way to sort of leverage advantage over Sack. That was a big thing I wanted to point out before we continue here. So it becomes his turn now. He will be promoting his Toyagumon. He has the Karamon in his hand, so it's perfectly fine play, but again, he has no champions in play, and I realized this, by the way, as well, and as you can see, my hand isn't the best either. I have 2 mats, 2 piedmon, and a Trump Sword, and I have no cards in my drop zone, so I need to just like leverage my ability to kind of go for any kind of aggression. So I think my best play here is actually not to attack with anything and go for a Trump Sword on the Andromon and just say, you know what, we're just gonna do it again. And that's right. So just like last turn, I'm just gonna get rid of his big boy and pass my turn. I know he has no champions, so by me getting rid of his ultimates, he cannot leverage into anything more powerful. He finally gets a Numemon. I wonder if he's going to evolve the Toyagumon or the Karamon. I would do the Toyagumon personally, so you can have the 2 security attacks, but I guess that's guaranteed anyway, thanks to War Greymon, so it's fine. He's gonna Toyagumon, swing for my security, just sacrificing it. It was 2000 power, unless it revealed an Itmon, it wasn't dying, or an option. And there's the Metal Greymon. I wonder if he'll go War Greymon next. He will, and see, look, he's keeping it in the raising area, so that means I will have no way to actually kill it until it becomes active or in play. I get that top deck of Devimon, really nice, lets me cycle through my deck some more. Always to see. And there's another Piedmon with only a Wizardmon in my drop zone, not the biggest thing in the world. There goes a Tapermon. Let's see, 1 draw here. See if I can't get a champion of my own. I will use his Gabumon. I'm not a big fan of attacking with Gabumon, but I just need to get more cards in my trash if I want to get some actual value eventually out of these Piedmon. And I'm going to go for the mat here because I want to grab my Trump Sword out of the trash, so that way I can use it against that War Greymon once it comes into play, because I don't want that War Greymon to stick around, giving him just free 2 security attacks every single turn. So here we go. He's going to swing at me for 2. I will go Chimeramon and Magnadramon. If only I had my Millenniumon in there, it would have gotten bopped out of here. He's going to respond, I think, in kind to my mat with his own tie, so now he can get 3 memory every single turn, plus adding 1000 DP to all of his Digimon during his turn. I have the Devimon in play. I will not be attacking with it. I will just be evolving it into a Biomon and then casting good old-fashioned Trump Sword. But now Trump Sword is wiping his entire board, so he has no cards in his raising area and no real hope of getting any cards in his raising area, so I'm in a really good position, even though I gave him 6 memory. Now, sadly, I did see Managermon go to the drop zone. Hopefully I can get another one in my hand pretty soon here. Otherwise, I will be lacking in the security department this whole game, which is, again, why me leveraging this Vilemon here is really important. And there goes the drop of Megidramon right there into the Hyundramon. Very cheap, very nice. Lets him get that Mega in play, and hopefully he can get that Millenniumon in play on the following turn to kind of control my board and start to push for game using his cards, I think is his strategy there. Now, I'm in an interesting situation here where my drop zone has cards in it now, so if I use Piedmon, I can go wide, but do I really need to go wide here? I'm just like full of things I don't want to play. I think my best play is just Piedmon and fill the board with whatever I can. Yep, and that's what I'm going to do. I don't think I have any Vilemon in there, but I do have plenty of rookies that I can call out, like Tapermon and maybe Wizardmon, which can just get me more cards in my hand, which is nice because my hand is very thirsty for cards. And there it is, Wizardmon, Tapermon, nice, makes sense. I need more cards in my hand. I'm kind of telegraphing that to my opponent, but, you know, he's pretty thirsty for things too. He has a champion in his hand, but now no rookies, you know? So, like, this, again, not having actual draw power in a deck like Black is really hard because you need things at certain points in the game. And so now he has 9 memory. He can just drop that Millenniumon. And then I think, sadly, he doesn't have reboot, so he can't swing with it twice using Atomic Ray. Otherwise, he would have been able to, which would have been super crazy. But he's going to get rid of my Vilemon. Makes sense. That's my defense. He's going to get another Millenniumon. Pretty useless. He's going to swing. There's a mat coming onto the board. That's awesome. Not really needed, but it lets me get Trump Sword. So if he does ever get some big blockers in play, I can get rid of them, I think. Or it gets me Gabumon that I want to filter for more cards. It was what I was going to say, because I obviously have no rookies in my hand, so I need to be able to evolve. I'm just showing him that that's what I got, because he didn't know. I wonder what he's going to do. He could just play Megidramon. That could be a cool play for him. He could just play Gardramon. Yeah, that's a big one. That's what I would have done too. Just getting that extra defense is really nice, because I'm about to go really wide and start attacking a bunch, and he wants to kind of leverage as much as he can. I'm going to evolve up really quick. Make sure you have as many cards in your hand as possible before you make plays. Makes sense. So a big thing for me here is just to kind of see what he's going to do. So I'm going to attack with this, see what he does. All right, cool. He just lets me take it. I'm going to decide either to evolve up or just play the hard Chimeramon to get rid of the Gardramon and then go for game on the following turn, because I don't care about Millenniumon. He has no rookies in his hand to evolve that Caprimon before it becomes his turn, so I know he cannot swing at me for lethal next turn if I get rid of the Gardramon. And so I'm just going to kind of either get rid of enough security now to where he gets rid of it for me, or just play my Chimeramon. Boom. There he goes. I will make a weird play here and get rid of my Wizardmon to draw more cards, because I know I don't need that many attackers on my following turn, because I have potentially 4, and he cannot play 4 blockers in one turn. Pretty impossible, if you ask me. So I'm in a really good position here to kind of win the game, actually. It all depends on what he wants to do. I think a play that could have punished me here is like if he had like the Atomic Ray in his security. Like if his last security is Atomic Ray, I could be in trouble, because then he can stand all of his blockers, whatever ones he plays, and so he can play like 2 in theory and have him be like Gatsumon and stuff, and then they just kind of like stop all my attacks for the rest of the game. But I'm pretty confident that I have enough attackers in play to just kind of win the game, and he's just like looking at his hand going, what can I do to survive this turn? And a cool thing too is that if he does ever swing at my Piedmon or my Devimon, he loses his Millenniumon. There's a Grizzly Wing, which again gives me just more and more bodies on the board that I can use to attack per game. It doesn't matter that I'm on my last security life. He cannot attack me with anything that he plays. He's just going to play the Megidramon and then play the Hyundramon. This is essentially him conceding because he has no blockers, 1 security, and I have 5 attacks. There is no card he can check in his security that survives the game for him. It'll now become my turn, and I will swing out, and he will lose. A big thing, by the way, this kind of shows you about the Digimon TCG that I don't love is that like if I have one complaint, it's that the ending of the game is so anticlimactic. People just lose because you're just like, oh, yep, I lose. There's no like drama. There's no like, I wonder what's gonna happen. The best you get is like you see the flower cannon from the security check, and now all your Digimon are arrested, so you can't attack for game. That's the best you're gonna get for drama. But that was the game I had against Sack. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. Moving on to my game against Tessero. Alright guys, here we are in my game against Tessero. This is actually the second game that we played in our finals match of the tournament. I won the first game. This is the second game. I think he's choosing to go first. Yeah, he's going first. And like I said, guys, this is a purple mirror match, so definitely get excited. Let me fast forward. There we go. We have our opening hands. Like I said, he's going first. He has the double rookie in hand. I have only one rookie, but I will have more memory, so I can always evolve up into Biomon. I think a really cool thing about the purple mirror match is that it really is like a reactive kind of mirror match. It's not like a do this all the time. If you do this first, you win. It's really just like whatever they do, try and have the response for it, whether it's clearing their board, whether it's setting up a Biomon, yada yada yada. You see here that he's going for the Wizardmon because he wants to have Gabumon activate as soon as possible. I like that a lot. I think I'm going to opt to evolve into nothing and then just give him the one memory on his turn, so that way he can not have enough to actually call anything and then go for attacks. I want to force him to attack first, essentially. It's kind of my thought process. And as you can see here, his hand is really good. He has double Chimeramon for anything that I can play, a Trump Sword and a Grizzly Wing. He can set up anything he wants to, really. He's going to swing here, check. His Wizardmon is safe. I think he would have actually liked to see it go away so he could get the draw 3 and filter 1, but I think it's fine for now. I wonder what he will prefer to do here. I will have potentially 2 attacks on my following turn and deal 2 security damage, and because he only dealt 1, maybe he's afraid. Yeah, so he's eyeing the Chimeramon. He wants that draw 3. He's capitalizing as well as not getting the Wizardmon dying on the first turn, so he gets to draw 3. He gets to essentially force me to not have as many attacks. So this is like his way of sort of controlling the security pile, because we do attack a lot as purple. So as long as he has more security than I do, he feels like he can be safe to go for plays like Chimeramon, because it controls my board and makes it harder for me to deal damage to him. And now he can have this big body on his board that lets him swing for his turn. So you'll see him a lot like leveraging cards like Chimeramon in a really good way. One big difference between our lists, by the way, as we go forward here, is that he is playing Beelzemon, which is the other level 6 for purple, and I am not. And it actually is a big deal, and I think it does give him some of the leverage in the late game, and I think was one of the main reasons why I lost the finals. Moving forward, I'm going to try and fit some Beelzemon into my list as well, because that card is really good, and I think it's better than extra copies of Matt. Because like you'll notice throughout these games, I have Matt in my hand all the time and I never use him, because it's it's really awkward to use Matt sometimes when you have like not a lot of options, or when you have too many options, because there's just better things to do most of the time than Matt, especially if you've already played a Matt during your turn. By the way, there was a little bit of a lag there. He was still resolving his Gabumon skill while I was attacking. I didn't realize, so no big deal. I'm going to play Matt here because I just want to kind of refuel my hand, get plenty of level 3s to play. Because as you can see, I'm a little rookie hungry right here. So this will be me digging for a Gabumon. I think I'll just like hard play it possibly. Or I'll go for the, I'll go for the Trump Sword here. He controls me, I control him. Now he has no cards in play to get any attacks off. So I'll be able to kind of catch up again in the security check game. We're both at 4. I do have my Magnadramon in my hand. So late game, if I am kind of thirsty for security, I can refuel that if I need to. He's going to evolve up into Immon here, get the draw. I think a big play for him would be to kind of play his own Matt here. I think he's going to try and end his turn with the Matt, so he's going to play like Devimon plus Grizzly Wing to fill his board with cards, and then play the Matt to give me 3 on my turns. That way he doesn't waste any memory. I think it would be a cool thing for him to do here this turn, and I think it makes sense as well. At least that's what I would do. I would play the Devimon. I would play the Devimon. Maybe evolve it if you wanted to as well. But I would definitely play the Grizzly Wing as well. On top of playing the Matt this turn would probably be like the biggest things he could do. Now keep in mind, this is the finals, so you'll see us thinking for a really long time. But we do have timers on our rounds, so we have to make decisions at some point. But we are going to be thinking quite a lot throughout this game. So he's going to start with the Grizzly Wing. I think he's going to get Immon. Cool. He wants to have that in case he has the Beelzemon at any point. I'm always going to keep track of his trash. I don't know if he has 10 yet, but eventually he will, and that's a big thing. Beelzemon, for you guys, if you guys don't know, can evolve onto Immon for 4. If you have 10 cards in your trash, so a level 6 on top of a level 3s, which is super huge, and can really swing games. And there is the Devimon, and now he's going to respond with his Matt against my Matt, just that way he doesn't waste any memory, and now we're on equal footing. That's the cool thing about Matt. Like, the best turn for Matt is when your opponent plays their Tamer. Like, if your opponent plays their TK, their Tai Chi, or whatever, you should respond with your Matt. That's a really big play. It just like catches you up and it lets you like not be behind. But now you'll see I'm just gonna draw a bunch of mats now, so I'm gonna be like, yeah, I remember this game. I remember hating it because I'm like, oh, this card sucks. Another difference is that Tessero is playing 2 mats, I am playing 4. I'm definitely gonna be cutting down mat. I think 3 is the right number, but 2 sounds really appealing. And as you can see here, I'm eyeing up that piedmon because I can't think of a better play that I have. I will go for the Vilemon though, have the extra defense against those rookies that you see over there, and luckily for me I do get the Grizzly Wing, but I don't want to waste any memory. Like if I go for Grizzly Wing, that's great, but he'll still get 3 memory on his turn, so I want to see if there's any better plays that I can make, like playing piedmon. I don't think there are, so I will be just playing Grizzly Wing, no big deal. I think I'll get Immon or Tapermon if he's in there, if there's my Immon. Like I said, I don't have Beelzemon, so sadly, if he gets his Beelzemon at any point here, which he just top decked actually, that's crazy, he can now severely hurt my board because Beelzemon can get rid of my Vilemon, and then he has a big 11k body in play that I cannot deal with really well if he attacks with it. That's a big thing. The biggest, like, weirdly enough, the best way to counter purple most of the time is to attack with their card, is to attack with your cards. The scary thing about that though is that if you attack with their with your cards, you kind of lose the ability to protect them because they have vengeance attackers. So like, it's really weird. Fighting against purple feels like there's never a good scenario to keep your things alive because you either attack and lose the vengeance, or you don't attack and they kill you with Trump Sword. I always feel like the best course of action though is to attack, and you'll see here that I actually block this Impmon. Now, I'm not sure if that was a misplay or not. I don't remember what his trash pile was, but if he didn't have 10 cards in his trash, I should not have done that. But technically, if he did have 10 cards in his trash, that's the perfect play to make, because if I don't make that play, I still lose my Vilemon, but I don't get to actually block. So as you can see here, he had 11, so no, he did not have 10 cards in his trash when I made that play. So that was kind of a misplay. I do get the Gabumon now though, which is nice. Lets me fix my awful hand. I just get 2 Grizzly Wings, which isn't really a fix to my awful hand, but I guess it's better than 0. There is a Devimon, so I have a bunch of rookies that I can essentially just like swarm him with, and I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I'll choose to attack with the Impmon first, feel it out, and I might just go for a Hail Mary Magnadramon here to try and catch up in some memory. I don't know why I went with Gabumon first. Oh, it's because he's 3k, that's why, instead of 1k. He might have a chance to survive, which would have been nice. But I have no champion, so me losing him is really no big deal. I'm now gonna swing with Impmon, I would imagine, and then use these Grizzly Wings plus my Devimon to refill my board, or just like hard play the Magnadramon and pass my turn. I see a lot of bats, and I could also play the Piedmon, but I have really nothing great in my trash right now, but I am gonna go for the Piedmon. I must have had like a Devimon in there as well as a Vilemon that I was kind of interested in. If this was my play, I should have gone for Impmon attack first and then filled my trash some more with maybe better cards that I could have called. That's definitely what I should have done. Also, I don't know why I didn't attack with Impmon at all. Maybe I was afraid of potential Millenniumons, but no, I don't think that was a mistake. Yeah, so not attacking with them on there, huge mistake. Definitely wanted to fill my drop zone as well as just have more options and just deal more damage. I don't know why I did not attack with it at all. That's definitely a weird misplay there. Yep, so there's the Beelzemon, swinging, getting the mill, thanks to Pagumon. Big boy, most likely not going to die by security. I do have the Magnadramon, so I will be able to kind of catch up again in the security. He will be killing my Vilemon and having it still be his turn, which is super huge. You'll see there that he did not attack with Tapermon, just that way he can guarantee having the body on play to sacrifice. If he attacked with it and it died to security, he couldn't play the Chimeramon's effect. So he's just like kind of being as consistent as possible because he needs to make sure that he can win this game, because if he doesn't, he'll lose this match. And I think a big thing that I need to do on the following turn is have plenty of attacks, because he's going to try and start fortifying his defense. He's probably just going to hard play that Vilemon, give me the 3, perfect math, not wasting a single memory. It becomes my turn now. My big thing this turn is to attack as much as possible and then play Magnadramon, because if I don't, I will die. As you can see here, I have no way to play any Vilemon, so my best way to survive is to leverage my Magnadramon. And you'll see there I ram into his Piedmon, one of the only cards in his deck that can get rid of my Piedmon when it attacks first. I am so heartbroken by this. This will come back to bite me towards losing the game. As you guys know, I do lose this match, so I do lose this game. And that right there is one of the big reasons why I lost. That piedmon being revealed was so huge. I should have just attacked with Tamers first. I don't know why I didn't, but there's the Vilemon. That was also a misplay right there too. He clearly had the blocker in play, but I had no response to it. I'm okay with Tamers going away so I can filter. Now I have a Devimon in my hand, so I can attack with that. I'm going to swing with Immon now. I don't know why I didn't swing with it last turn. It would have been a game-winning play to swing with it last turn. I am a big stupid boy for not doing that. Gosh. Always attack with the Immon, feel the drop zone, have more cards for piedmon. I'm not going to play as many cards as possible to try and fill my board back up. I have no access to piedmon, but I do have Grizzly Wing plus Magnadramon, which will give me plenty of security, I hope, to survive this turn, because the best he can deal to me is 4. I will have 4, so we'll hopefully survive. Any Grizzly Wings or any Trump Swords in there be super huge as well. I think I'm actually out of Trump Swords at this point. I have one in my hand because I think I've seen 3. This game has just been awkward for me in terms of my draws, but I was still in a really good position to win the game based on the cards that I had. I just didn't realize the best things for me to do at the time. But I will say, he has 1 blocker, I have 3 attacks, and he has 1 security. If he does not control my board in any way this turn, I will be able to win the game, but he draws another Vilemon, plus he has Trump Sword, so he'll be able to control my board very easily, as well as fortifying his own defense. And so I am most likely going to lose this game no matter what happens, because he'll most likely be able to do all this and starve me a memory, so I can't play that many cards, even if I want to. There goes my Volcanic Dramon, which would have been super nice earlier in this game, but there it goes. It's only 10 to his 11, so he's safe. He's going to swing Wizardmon at my security. Wizardmon now dies. There's another Piedmon. That would have been nice to see in my hand. The saltiness is coming out in the video, I understand. There goes the draw 3, discard 1. Really strong. Getting rid of the Immon makes sense. Doesn't really need anything else. He has 2 Vilemons in his hand now, by the way, guys, as well as the Chimeramon. So he has basically everything he needs just to mess with me and make sure that he has a perfect game-winning scenario on the following turn. Again, this is the kind of thing that I love about purple. I hate fighting against it because I'm also playing purple, but you can just set up some really good game-winning scenarios, because now he's like, okay, you have 2 attackers, I have a blocker plus 1 security. If I play 1 more Vilemon, there's no world where I lose. If I give you 4 memory, you can't do anything. I also know that you're not playing Beelzemon, so if I do play these Vilemon, I know they're safe. These are all things that he's thinking about that he can do to guarantee himself survival, as well as guaranteeing himself enough cards in play to attack me for game on the next turn. There is the Vilemon. I am not 4 memory. Unless I think the only thing I could have done here to win the game is, like, I don't even know, evolve into Devimon, swing, get rid of one of the Vilemon, play a Piedmon, get 2 Vilemon, yep. And so, like, I'm admitting defeat here and I'm scooping this game because I know there's nothing I can do to survive on the following turn. The big misplays that I made, not attacking with that Mon to set up more drop zone. If Piedmon didn't die, had Piedmon not died there, I would have had 3 attacks that turn against his 1 security. And then if I had a control card like a Chimeramon or something, I could have gotten rid of both of his blockers. I could have played my own blocker thanks to Piedmon, and I could have, I could have gotten rid of both of his blockers because he would have blocked my attacks with my vengeance attackers, and then I would have played my Chimeramon, got rid of his last attacker, and then I would have had my survival in the next turn myself. So definitely not attacking with Immon was a big thing, and then losing Piedmon, an even bigger thing. So that game, a little bit awkward. I made some misplays and they cost me the game, but I think it was a really good representation of how you kind of want to play this deck, is like thinking about how you can use your aggression / your tempo / your free superior calls from the trash pile to leverage your board, go as wide as possible, go as defensively as possible, and then set up ways that you can win despite what your opponent can do. Always think to yourself, what can your opponent do to you in response to you doing XYZ? And that's how you're going to win with purple, and that's why I love playing this deck. It gives you the most options that you can then use to win the game. And boom, there you guys go. That is my purple deck profile and sort of gameplay review of the deck that I used this past weekend in the Big Bite number 5 Digimon TCG tournament hosted by Raze_HMG. Again, link down below to the unedited VOD if you want to watch more games with me or with other people playing all kinds of decks from the Digimon TCG. Super stoked to be playing in competitive tournaments again. It was so much fun to kind of have that like heartbeat moments of like battle fatigue and like trying to grind and thinking about the matchups. It was super fun to be in a competitive scenario like that. And even though I did make some misplays, I recognized them and I will become better at this game in the future. And hopefully the next time I do a tournament, I'll be able to do a first place tournament report for you guys instead of a second place one. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and click that bell for notifications so that you guys know when my videos go live for you. Like I said, I'm doing new Digimon TCG videos every single week, so if you guys have any suggestions for future things that you want to see, leave them down in the comments below. Also, if you have any questions from today's video that I did not answer, please feel free to leave them down in the comments as well, or better yet, hop into my Twitch channel. I go live every Monday, Thursday, Friday. I do all kinds of things in just chatting, so come, ask some questions, and hopefully get some live answers. And with all that being said, you guys, I have been your true champion, Steven. Please be sure to work hard, rest easy, and live well, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.